In the dark underbelly of the global drug trade, one name has remained as infamous as it is feared: the Sinaloa Cartel. Known for its sprawling network, its involvement in the fentanyl crisis, and the infamous El Chapo, the cartel's influence persists. With key arrests, leadership shifts, and its relentless pursuit of power, the Sinaloa Cartel's saga is far from over. The capture of El Mayo Zambada. One of the most significant developments was the capture of Ismael El Mayo Zambada, one of the original founders of the Sinaloa Cartel. For decades, Zambada had been able to evade authorities, remaining a phantom-like figure in the criminal underworld. His intimate knowledge of Mexico's remote mountain regions allowed him to evade law enforcement, and he gained a near-mythical status. The arrest, orchestrated by U.S. and Mexican authorities, is part of an aggressive strategy to dismantle the cartel's leadership. However, Zambada's capture may not deal the crushing blow that some had hoped. The cartel's decentralized nature allows for leadership transitions, ensuring its operations continue. Despite this, Zambada's arrest is a major victory for law enforcement, disrupting parts of the cartel's fentanyl distribution. The rise of the Chapitos. Following the high-profile arrests of their father, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and now Ismael Zambada, the Chapitos, El Chapo's sons, have risen to power within the Sinaloa Cartel. Ivan Alfredo Joaquin and Ovidio Guzman now hold significant control over the organization. This transition in leadership has not come without challenges. The Chapitos have faced internal conflicts and external pressure from both law enforcement and rival gangs. Despite these hurdles, they have maintained their father's legacy by expanding the cartel's influence, particularly in the fentanyl trade. They've employed innovative smuggling techniques, from using high-speed boats to clandestine submarines, and even drones to transport drugs across borders. Their brutal tactics, including kidnapping and assassinations, have cemented their control, making them formidable leaders in the cartel's hierarchy. Fentanyl crisis, Sinaloa Cartel's newest weapon. The Sinaloa Cartel has been a driving force behind the fentanyl epidemic sweeping across the United States. Fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is exponentially more potent than heroin, has become the cartel's most profitable commodity. The cartel has perfected the production of fentanyl by securing precursor chemicals from suppliers in China, manufacturing the drug in clandestine labs in Mexico, and then smuggling it into the U.S. through various means. Fentanyl continues to wreak havoc across the U.S., causing a staggering number of overdose deaths each year. The drug's low cost and high potency make it a preferred choice for traffickers, while its lethality makes it a public health crisis in the U.S. The Sinaloa Cartel's ability to profit from this deadly trade has only strengthened its position in the global drug market. Multinational operations beyond Mexico. The Sinaloa Cartel's operations have evolved far beyond Mexican borders. With connections and smuggling routes across the Americas, Europe, and Asia, the cartel has truly become a global entity. In addition to its traditional routes into the United States, the cartel has expanded into new territories, using innovative smuggling techniques such as commercial cargo shipments, drones, and even submarines. The cartel's ability to adapt to international law enforcement efforts has kept it ahead of authorities, allowing it to distribute cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl to countries around the world. These global operations are bolstered by strategic partnerships with criminal organizations in South America and Europe, making the Sinaloa Cartel a significant player in the international drug trade. U.S. law enforcement's counterattack. In response to the rising number of fentanyl overdoses and the cartel's growing power, U.S. law enforcement has ramped up its efforts to dismantle the Sinaloa Cartel. Agencies such as the DEA and FBI, working in conjunction with Mexican authorities, have made significant strides in capturing key cartel figures and disrupting trafficking routes. Several high-profile arrests were made, including top lieutenants in the cartel's fentanyl distribution network. These efforts are part of a larger U.S. government strategy to combat the opioid epidemic by targeting the sources of supply. However, despite these successes, the cartel's decentralized structure makes it difficult to dismantle entirely. As long as there is demand for drugs, the cartel will likely find ways to continue its operations. Infighting and fragmentation. The capture of several high-ranking cartel members, including El Chapo and El Mayo, has created a power vacuum within the Sinaloa Cartel. This vacuum has led to increased infighting among different factions vying for control of the lucrative drug trade. The Chapitos, who now lead the cartel, have faced challenges from rival factions, including those loyal to El Mayo. This internal strife has led to violent clashes in regions like Sinaloa, where the cartel maintains a stronghold. While this infighting could weaken the organization in the long term, it also makes the cartel more dangerous in the short term, as factions resort to extreme violence to assert dominance. Narco culture, the cartel's cultural influence. The Sinaloa Cartel's influence extends beyond the realm of drugs and violence. It has become a central figure in Mexico's narco culture. This cultural phenomenon can be seen in music, television, and even fashion. Narco corridos, ballads that glorify the exploits of drug lords, have become incredibly popular in Mexico, often celebrating the Sinaloa Cartel's leaders. Television dramas based on the lives of figures like El Chapo and El Mayo attract millions of viewers, both in Mexico and abroad. This cultural glorification of cartel leaders has given them a sort of folk hero status, particularly among impoverished communities where the cartel is seen as a symbol of rebellion against the government. The cartel's reach into the U.S. While based in Mexico, the Sinaloa Cartel has established deep and far-reaching networks within the United States. These networks are responsible for distributing the cartel's drugs across major U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, New York, and Chicago. The cartel uses a variety of methods to transport its products, from underground tunnels along the U.S.-Mexico border to corrupting officials and using legal trade routes. Once the drugs enter the U.S., the cartel relies on local gangs to distribute them to smaller cities and communities, ensuring that its products reach every corner of the country. The cartel's presence in the U.S. has not only fueled the opioid epidemic, but also contributed to rising violence in American cities. Money laundering and corruption. One of the most sophisticated aspects of the Sinaloa Cartel's operations is its ability to launder the billions of dollars it earns from drug sales. The cartel uses a variety of techniques to clean its money, including shell companies, real estate investments, and offshore bank accounts. Corruption also plays a key role in the cartel's success, as it bribes officials on both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border to look the other way. Despite the best efforts of law enforcement to trace and seize the cartel's assets, money laundering remains a significant challenge in the fight against organized crime. The cartel's ability to hide its profits ensures that it can continue to fund its operations, even as its leaders are captured or killed. The future of the Sinaloa Cartel. Despite the significant blows dealt to its leadership in recent years, the Sinaloa Cartel remains a formidable force in the global drug trade. The rise of the Chapitos has ensured that the cartel's operations continue, even in the face of increasing law enforcement pressure. However, the future of the cartel is uncertain. As U.S. and Mexican authorities intensify their efforts to combat fentanyl trafficking, the cartel may be forced to adapt or risk being overtaken by rivals. Nevertheless, with its deep-rooted connections, vast financial resources, and willingness to use extreme violence, the Sinaloa Cartel is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. The world will be watching as this criminal empire navigates the next chapter of its dark history. And that's the dark and complex world of the Sinaloa Cartel, still standing strong despite the fall of its leaders. If you found this video informative, make sure to hit that like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more deep dives into global crime organizations and their far-reaching impacts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.